This is Matthew Talerney from World Baseball Network, another episode with Baseball Without Borders podcast, joined by my co-host and also staff writer, Julian Goulardi. Julian, how do you feel about where, the landscape is right now with global baseball, especially how Cuba is recruiting certain Cuban Americans to play in the World Baseball Classic for 2026?
I think it's interesting for sure. There's been a lot of commotion about who they will and won't let play in the WBC. And we'll see what they end up doing. I know last time they made the semifinals, I think they'll be a formidable team again. It just depends what type of guys are going to get cleared, who's going to want to do it, who's going to be allowed to do it. So I definitely have a lot of questions still.
Yeah, so Yusef Diaz of Pelota Cubana really surfaced this news, and it was kind of interesting to see on behalf of where the Federation de Cubana de Baseball is going with all this. I think it's kind of an interesting route with certain federation officials on how they want to reach around letting Cuban Americans play for them. That's in the World Baseball Softball Confederation rules that, you know, if you are of descent of your heritage, you could play for that national team itself. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting too to see where this kind of bridges the gap for baseball globally, because we haven't seen a Cuban Americans play for the Cuban national team. It's always been players from the Serie Nacional, and also the new elite league that is now realigned into the spring and summer league. So yeah, I think it's cool to see this happen. I think it's long overdue, and yeah, I think that this is a big time frame for where Cuba's going to go from this. And also with do you recruit players again? Do you have an MLB similar roster with guys like Johan Mancada and Luis Robert that want to come back to play with the country as well? And yeah, since there's been a lot of different angles with the politics from the Cuban government and also the United States government seeking on if Cuba is going to be in the WBC, because we don't really know as of now what's going to happen with that. And there's a lot of different authorization that has to go down with certain officials in the United States that want Cuba to play in Puerto Rico this upcoming March. And yeah, I think it's going to be a cool deal if they can let Cuban Americans play for them. Because honestly, it will be interesting to see guys like Carlos Rondon, Nolan Arenado. I mean, even though Nolan Arenado committed to playing for Puerto Rico recently, that it could spark some intentions for other players that do have Cuban descent and are Cuban American to play for the Cuban national team this upcoming March. In other baseball news, Julian, how do you just feel about what Cal Raleigh has done and just setting the tone with his record-breaking 49th home run of the year yesterday?
I think it's incredible what Cal's doing. The fact that he didn't even need September to set the record is pretty interesting to me. It's pretty remarkable. 49 bombs he passes Salvador Perez. Perez was 48 in 2021. And I thought that record would definitely stand for a lot longer with the way catchers are hitting nowadays. Cal Raleigh is obviously the best hitting catcher of this season, and he's chasing down Judge for an MVP. And he might be chasing down that 62 record now also. So I really want to see, is he going to get into the 60 range? Will he wrestle the MVP away from Aaron Judge? These are definitely other topics that stem from that. But it's just a great moment yesterday. 2 bombs, 2 at-bats at his home ballpark. You can't draw it up any better.
Yeah, and being a switch hitter too, I just feel how do you feel that, our switch hitters kind of looking up to Cal Raleigh and thinking, wow, he's putting up these type of numbers in a 162 game season. Cal might be playing 140 something games when, the season comes in close. How do you feel about other guys that put up milestones that were switch hitters in the regular season? Guys like Mickey Mantle, Eddie Murray too, we could say, and just for the impact where the game is going right now. Paul Skeens can kind of have a little bit of a certain lane of how he's putting up stats that nobody else is doing, like having the second lowest ERA through 50 starts in the live ball era is pretty, is pretty intense to see, guys do this, right? Like before him, it was Vern Law in 1960. So when only one pitcher won the award instead of one pitcher per league, let alone in the Cy Young category. Doug Drabeck also, being in this type of discussion, Paul Skeens, how do you feel that what he's been doing, having a 2.07 ERA, 181 strikeouts, over 161 innings, like how do you feel like that draws into pieces right now for him?
I think he's the Cy Young winner. It's very clear, especially with the news of Zach Wheeler going down, which we'll touch on later because I want to piggyback to Ranger Suarez. But for now, obviously, Skeens is having one of the best starts in MLB history of his career. It's unfortunate that it's happening with the Pirates because it is being highly appreciated, and people know how good he is. And I know wins and losses are kind of arbitrary at this point, but like he's not winning games because the Pirates can't hit. It's like he's suffering from the Jacob deGrom syndrome. Like he's not going to be playing on the big stage. He's not going to be playing in a playoff game. He doesn't get any national games because it's the Pirates. Like these are things that kind of hurt him a little bit from like a view standpoint. He's pitching remarkably, obviously.
Yeah, I think like Paul Skeens, when it's all said and done in his career, I think he can have this leverage like Nolan Ryan had, and I just feel like he's that type of pitcher that has that mechanic lane to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like if he's topping
Yeah.
out at 102, day in and day out, I feel like, or start in, start out every 5 days, I think that like Skeens can accomplish a lot in his MLB career if he stays healthy, of course. But yeah, like you were saying about Ranger Suarez, how do you feel like how Suarez pitches to hitters? Do you feel like he's very, he's very crafty with using certain breaking stuff to his mechanics? And how do you think that it benefits with guys like JT Realmuto that are behind the dish to help him, honestly,
I think
accomplish what he's been doing?
he started the year a little bit slow because he was coming back from injury. Then he got really hot, and now you're starting to see him at like the top form. Basically, he's had seasons with ERAs under 3 before, I believe, or like low threes. So for Ranger, he's kind of coming into his own. He is going into a free agent year, so this year is really important for him. I think he's pitching great. Obviously, had 11 strikeouts yesterday, career high. He also had 10 that start before, and I think that's the most he's ever had in 2 starts. So it's like 21 and 2 starts, like 13 and 2/3. He gave up no runs yesterday, didn't walk anyone. I think it was only like 3 hits against the Nationals. And Rangers going to have to step up big time with that Wheeler. There's no two ways about it.
How do you feel about the Orioles having this crazy contract with Sam Basallo, and he's only played a few games of Major League Baseball, and being one of the pretty much is the top catcher in Major League Baseball right now in the prospect pipeline?
I think it's interesting because they didn't pay Adley Rutschman, but they paid Basallo quicker than Rutschman in theory. So does that mean they believe in him more? Are they upset with Adley? It's like regression a little bit. Are they just trying to lock in some talent for a change instead of losing their guys, getting ahead of the 8 ball? Like, I think Basallo's a legitimate player. I think it's interesting how early they did it. I think there's questions about his defense. Is he a catcher? Is he a first baseman? But there's no questions about his bat. His hit tool's off the charts. And there's even a chance he could end up being a catcher for DR maybe in the WBC if they want to go that route. He's definitely in play, I think. And obviously the other guys we talked about too, Skeens and Ranger Suarez are definitely going to be on the board. We know Skeens is playing for USA. Ranger's probably going to sit up for Venezuela, I would imagine.
Yeah, I just feel Augustine Ramirez has been putting up better numbers, and you can't there's not really a sample size to give Basallo a shot because he hasn't played in Major League Baseball for quite some time. Like when I look at Augustine Ramirez, I think his numbers have been like really good. His stat range, like he's caught 105 games, Augustine Ramirez, as of now on August 8th, August 25th. He has 18 home runs, 57 RBIs. His batting average isn't really great, but I feel like defensively, he's done good. And I mean this with, yeah, he might have an italic with leading the major leagues in 8 errors defensively. But I feel that, he can throw out guys. I feel like he still has work for improvement.
Yeah,
And yeah, like the only issue that he's really working with right now is letting 62 runners steal off him.
yeah,
And that's not, that's not what I want to say appetizing for certain people to look on what they want to build in their future at the catcher position if he was to leave the Marlins in the near future. And also having like a 23.2 cost ceiling percentage, that doesn't help.
Well, Augustine's a dude, I covered him in the minors. He's like, his catching was always a question to me. Like, I thought he had a good size to catch, but I wasn't like fully sold on like his throwing was kind of problematic too. Like, his blocking's like okay. His game calling and framing, I think, is like improving as it goes along. They had him play first with the Yankees too a little bit because they had so many catchers and a few DHs here and there. His bat is electric, no question. Like, you put him in the WBC setting, I could see him excelling in it. Think about it; he'll be playing in his home ballpark, so that'll be easy for him too in certain scenarios. So, like, I think that Augustine is definitely capable of being on it. Yainer Diaz will be in the mix too, but I could see Ramirez getting the starting nod, honestly. Basayo just has like a lot of raw ability, but we don't know what that looks like at the MLB level yet.
Looking at other catchers, like I was going to point out what Elias Diaz has been doing with the Padres. I think
Yeah,
even yesterday, yeah, like the Padres lose 8-2, but Diaz, I feel like can carry that offense for San Diego down the line if they're trying to make it. I mean, they pretty much are in the mix of the playoff run in the
yeah,
division per
they should
se.
make it.
Yeah, and that was a big win. To be now tied with the Dodgers at 74 and 57 going into today.
But for Yamamoto, I think he's definitely in a good spot. I mean, he's had a good postseason run last year. I think he's ready to do it again for them. I think he's been the most dependable starter they've had this year, arguably, because he hasn't really missed time. And they've needed him because they've had a lot of guys miss time. He's been up and down against the Padres. There's been good starts, there's been bad starts. So yesterday was a good sign for him to see him pitch well against them. So, like, he's really shown that. I'd say it's early, but I think you have to say he's worth the money, right? He helped them win the World Series in year one. He's pitching good again in year two. Like, he's living up to the billing so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also I think yesterday too, like what he correlated in his stats: 6 innings, just allowed 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Just a lone blow by Elias Diaz in the bottom of the third. Yeah, and just he's consistent. 92 pitches, 60 strikes. He had on Sunday afternoon at Petco. I think that Yamamoto can have the capability of being a real elite pitcher also when his career is all said and done. I think his mechanics are pretty drawn out for him, and I think that having a catcher also like Dalton rushing, that's a big pretty much angle for the Dodgers that they want to keep building with these young guys. Dalton being a second rounder, overall 40th overall pick, early second rounder, like this guy can mash. I mean, we're seeing other lanes of what he can do. Yeah, he's not playing certain amount of games at the MLB level because he was called up in the middle of the season. But I think even though he batted 187, Dalton rushing, I think he has a lot of stuff to prove down the line. 3 home runs, 19 RBIs, and 20 hits with 107 at bats. I feel like for just playing 39 games on Dalton's stat line, I think he can be a good catcher down the road at the major league level for sure.
Yeah, he's been a highly touted guy, too. I'm not surprised to see his success, really. The Dodgers are really good at development and stuff. And, Will Smith is still in the mix, so that's a good guy for him to learn from, obviously. And it's another guy who he was with the Louisville in college baseball, so that's been a good program as well. And he was a Tennessee kid, so we'll see how his career progresses. He played in the Cape Cod League also, which is cool. And there's so much good talent that comes out of that. I want to shift to New York for a little bit. Like, what are your thoughts on Juan Soto stealing so many bases this year? I think he's the only guy to have like a 30-20 season right now with 30 homers and 20 stolen bases.
Juan Soto, I think he got snuffed from the All-Star game. I mean, we could talk about that. We could talk about
That's fair.
other, stat renderings that kind of been overlooked. I didn't think Julio Rodriguez had a better overall frame side of certain stats than Juan Soto, but I think you know it's what people like the fans. Yeah, they vote, but I feel like when you go buy a ticket to see a player, especially like the highest paid player in Major League Baseball, you expect performance, especially in New York. Being the biggest market, and I think that's a big time adjustment to work with. I mean, Juan Soto's the second season in New York, but I think that he's a good player. I think he has a lot of the five tools. Besides, really, you don't think of Juan Soto right with his speed, but this year he's changing the game. And like I could say the same thing about Otani last year when he had the 50 season in Major League Baseball. Is Otani really meant to steal bases, or is he a good base runner that has tactics that can get good jumps?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's how I see it too. But yeah, no, I mean Juan Soto, I think if the Mets don't make the playoffs, I think it's a bust in his first year out of his
Oh, 100,
contract.
100%. Yeah, no question. No
Uh,
matter what he does, it's a bust if they don't make the playoffs.
yeah, I think it's overall a big turnaround of how the Phillies are going to probably make a run in the NL East
Yep.
to win the division and probably make a deep run in October or 15-year. I'm sorry, contract, and it's just I think that Juan Soto does have the ability to win a World Series in Flushing. I just feel that the Mets needed to build around a lot of pitching. It's tough to compete with the Dodgers in the same frame to get past the Dodgers to get to the World Series or get past the Phillies to get to the World Series. For that matter, maybe the Cubs too. I think even Julian Matt,
Yeah.
Cubs are.
Brewers, Padres. Yeah. You could literally pick out any NL team. That's how good the National League is. I don't feel the same about the American League. I feel like there's only a few American League teams that could actually win. The National League, I feel like you could take almost any of the teams. They're all that good. And the Phillies pitching overlaps the Mets by a lot. And that's why you see the 7 game deficit. Just look at the starting rotation. And the Mets have their prospects. That's their only weapon left. Do they give Jonah Tong a look? We covered Tong in AA. He's lighting it up in AAA. It seems that the higher he goes, the better he gets. Like, does he see Queens this year maybe? Does Brandon Sproul come out of the bullpen? They're talking about that. After what they've seen Nolan McLean do, is it worth sending these two kids up to see if they could help fix some of the rotation holes?
Yeah, I think that it's a big task for the Mets front office. I think you have to evaluate what your top prospects are doing closely, especially going into next year. And yeah, I think that what Jonah Tong has been accomplishing in the minor leagues is pretty remarkable. I think that he's the type of guy that does have good breaking pitches. He's utilizing them well. Um, and I think he is the type of guy that does have major league stuff when it's all said and done. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Mets front office evaluates in the next few weeks if they do not make the playoffs. I just feel that the Mets don't have a lot of certain amount of chemistry right now to do it. I think they're kind of in a loophole, just like the team in the Bronx. That's not.
Yeah, we'll get them too. So like the Yankees have been a mess too. The one cool moment I thought yesterday was the Jazz Chisholm hit 2 homers when his best friend died the day before. I thought that was very cool. And obviously, he has the Bahamas background. He's born there. He could also play for Great Britain if he wants to in the WBC. Chisholm's a very streaky player. When he's on, he's on. His overall numbers look solid, but some stretches have been pretty rough offensively. He's had some defensive gaps, but overall, I think he's having a very good year, even though he's missed some games with injuries.
Yeah, I think Trent Grisham too has been playing well. I think he's been very serviceable for the Yankees in center field. I think he's like a Matt Carpenter type of esque, right? Is it like
A little bit, yeah. I see
you
what
know?
you're going for.
Yeah, is he like the role player that has the cool mustache or facial lane too? Now that the Yankees have beards, it's like I think there's like either a rally cry with somebody like Trent Grisham or a fun guy in the clubhouse to just really relate to. I think that Grisham can make a big statement for the Yankees. This year if they get into the playoffs as well. But yeah, it should be interesting to see what lies ahead for the Yankees this coming week. Yeah, and like just like I said before, with not so many weeks left in the regular season, it's time to really, for these teams that are in the wild card hunt or in the playoff divisional hunt, that it's go time. Like every game matters. Doesn't matter if you're playing a team that's 30 games below 500 or 30 games above 500. You gotta. All these games have counted since March, late March, pretty much. And yeah, Julie, I also wanted to tie some interesting topics into the Field of Dreams game. What do you think about what Major League Baseball has done? And yes, there was the Bristol Motor Speedway Classic, but how do you feel that Major League Baseball as a product wants to keep continuing um, these neutral site games, even the international series games as well, which is a growing angle of the sport and the product of Major League Baseball?
I'm very into these ideas. I think they're cool to go different places. The Field of Dreams is probably my favorite one they did out of all of them, I would say. Just because, like, the way they did it, they made it look exactly like the movie. Like, going there is crazy. The only thing is, like, they need to figure out a better way to get people there because, like, it's so complicated to get there. Like, it's, like, impossible. You have to pull so many strings to even get out there.
Right.
So for us, at least, it'd only be more attainable for people in the Midwest. And maybe that's who the game's for. Maybe it's not for people on the East Coast, I guess. Although they did put the Yankees in it, but I think they're putting the Phillies in it again. So they are trying to attract. They're trying to attract the East Coast, but it's really hard to get there from the East. The Twins, it might be a little easier. I don't know how that will look. It's probably still a long drive because Minnesota's deep, but that'll be an interesting matchup for sure. I really thought the way they made the field was great. The fan intimacy was great. It kind of reminded me of Williamsport a little bit because I did go to Williamsport, so there are some similarities there, I think, even though I didn't go to the Field of Dreams, obviously. The way it's like just a few fans, it's like a short setting, but you're playing Major League Baseball, but it looks like it's like a high school or college field. It's interesting.
I mean, with cornfield, like a cornfield in the outfield is pretty interesting too. It's just like right out of the movie. Yeah, I mean, like they would have to play the games in Minnesota to get out there. So, like, if you fly or Minneapolis, so if you fly,
probably
If you fly to Chicago, it's like a 4.5 hour drive, or if you fly into Des Moines, it's not as bad. It's kind of like the middle of the state in some way. So Dubuque is just east of it's right near like basically like the Illinois and Wisconsin corridor, if that makes sense. But yeah, like I think it'll be interesting, to see what happens with Field of Dreams. I think it's a great idea that they're still doing this, and yeah, cornfield in Iowa. I mean, like that's pretty much if you build it, they will come. So they're still rolling with that motto till this day. But yeah, Julian, it's been a great form of what we've been discussing with the global landscape of Major League Baseball. And I think that, with the winter leagues coming up, you're going to see a lot of talent in the minor leagues that are going to be playing this winter. You kind of have a short window with certain countries that want to be evaluating rosters for the World Baseball Classic. Lindome is about to have their camps next month. So is LVBP in Venezuela, the Liga Venezolana de Baseball Profesional circuit. Liga de Baseball Roberto Clemente starting in November. So that'll be a great, lane to see where the talent is going. And DR, you might not have a lot of MLB held guys playing in Lindome this winter because if they get hurt, they can't play in the World Baseball Classic. So I think there's a lot of safety precautions with that. I feel like pitching. What do you feel like? So I'm thinking right now, Mexico has an underrated outlook of what they could accomplish this World Baseball Classic. We understand that they did get to the semifinals and lost out of Japan. Munetaka Murakami's game-winning double in the series in Miami at Lone Depot Park. So I think like Mexico could have an interesting scouting outlook. Do they take certain guys that are going to be good in LAMP as role players in the Liga Arco Mexicana del Pacifico? And then the pitching, I think, is the big concern for Mexico. Javier Assad, I mean, I think he's a guy to look on the radar, and also and especially, I mean, Muniz is done. Like, what do you think about a guy that didn't allow an earned run until like practically the middle of the season, Andreas Muniz? How do you feel about what he's done this year? And also, I've been even looking on my radar too for a guy like Radel Martinez to get a shot at Major League Baseball, because he was on the same lane of not giving up an earned run for the Yomiuri Giants in upon professional baseball overseas. Like, is the closing rule I was gonna say, like, is defining a lot of lanes in Major League Baseball. And now that they just announced that, yes, we've had a reliever award in Major League Baseball, but now I guess now there's like a top reliever player of the year award that's also coming out for next year. I think it's interesting to see where the reliever outlook of the game is going.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because, like, I thought they had an award like that, but I guess now it's basically just closer of the year. So I guess now they'll have like a middle guy or someone else that's not a closer win that award, maybe. So it'll be interesting to see how they friction that. And Munoz has been legitimate. He definitely could help that Mexican bullpen in the WBC. I'm pretty sure he's going to play. Their rotation definitely needs a lot of help. Another guy that used to be pitching that's been banged up is Sandoval, who was with the Angels. He was pitched in the WBC, I believe. I don't know if they'll go back to him. He's been hurt a lot. So like that's another guy you can look at. But yeah, the Mexico's pitching staff is definitely like in a rough spot.
They're going to recruit in Liga Mexicana de Baseball. It's not like they don't have certain guys like Manny Barreda, Luis Cessa, Jesus Cruz also that could play on this team. So you have certain pitchers that you're going to either bring back, and Patrick Sandoval, Major League player, Tyjon Walker, Major League player, scrap that out. I mean, you have certain guys that are even as good for what they did in Liga Mexicana de Baseball to even play for the national team with certain major league guys. Gerardo Reyes is the same. Like, if I'm gonna, if you don't have a guy like Gerardo Reyes, like competing, especially what he's been doing in the Liga Mexicana de Baseball League this season, how like what do you build from that? I think that's a big angle that Benji Hill has to take in and utilize and kind of build some criteria around of certain guys that are on that roster for sure.
Yeah, well, I think we're probably going to have to see them get some aces in the hole. Like, there may be some surprising performances. That's all I'll say there for some pitchers. They'll need some guys to step up that we're not thinking of right now.
I think now being a confederation after 14 years with baseball and softball, this is a big task for the game to keep growing. And this pretty much sets the tone for 2028 in Los Angeles. Do you think major league players are going to play in 2028 at Dodger Stadium?
I wanted to say yes, but now I'm not 100% sure about that because, like, I just don't know if they're going to be able to put it together in time. You're going to have the complication of the lockouts too. So, like, they're going to have to figure that out after they figure out the lockout, obviously. So I don't know, like, how it's all going to go. Like, if they're going to want to risk injury in the Olympics and the WBC, like, or is it just going to want to be stuck to WBC, how they've been doing? So it's definitely a complex issue, I think. I'm not really sure what to say there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll probably know within the next few months what lies ahead, especially before the World Baseball Classic. I think that's going to be a big time lane to work around other future tournaments in international baseball that are operated by the World Baseball Softball Confederation. We're trying to pretty much have another outlook of where the game is growing. I think having these events in other countries is a big mark on the game. I mean, even covering, like Julian, even covering the Premier 12 was pretty sick at the Tokyo Dome. Never been in Japan. It was my first time last November in Japan. And yeah, I think, like having these tournaments, it's a big, growth possible range to work from this. Yeah, signing off here. My name is Matthew Talrini from World Baseball Network. Julian Goulardi is my staff member with World Baseball Network. And yeah, smoke them inside. Go follow us on Instagram as well and YouTube. We're on all platforms.